There is a prayer so powerful that when done correctly, it makes everything you ask for become reality, without exceptions. This is not just a technique, but a key capable of aligning you with the creative force of the universe. And contrary to what many believe, it's not enough to simply repeat nice phrases or wish strongly. You must enter a state of vibrational coherence, where thought, emotion, and word move together. Today, you will learn how to apply this prayer in a simple yet profound way, integrating spiritual principles and universal laws so that results become inevitable. As you watch, declare in the comments, "I already live my manifestation." This affirmation will anchor your energy in the now and create space for the miracle to appear. Get ready, because this knowledge can change everything. Among 20th century scholars and spiritual teachers, few explored the link between consciousness and reality as deeply as Jacobo Grinberg. His research combined neuroscience, quantum physics, and mystical traditions, revealing that the world we perceive is not fixed, but a projection shaped by each person's mental and vibrational structure. This vision aligns with what Connie Mendez taught in Christian metaphysics, with Emmett Fox's belief in the power of thought, and with Neville Goddard's method of praying from the end, mentally assuming the desired outcome as already fulfilled. Florence Scovel Shinn also taught that the spoken word, when aligned with feeling and faith, acts as a command to the universe. Despite differences in language, all point to the same truth. There is a prayer, simple yet profoundly precise, that when done with internal alignment, activates universal laws and manifests unfailing results. This video is an invitation to reclaim that practice, understanding both its spiritual foundation and scientific support, so you can apply it daily and transform not only external circumstances, but your vibrational identity. Everything in the universe vibrates. From the smallest subatomic particle to the largest galaxies, nothing is static. Everything moves, pulses, and emits a specific frequency. This is one of the fundamental Hermetic principles, and it's where any manifestation process begins. When we talk about metaphysical prayer, we are not only referring to spoken words, but to a precise combination of three elements: thought, emotion, and word. When these three are misaligned, the energy emitted is confused, and the result unstable. Imagine your mind as a radio transmitter. Your thoughts set the station, your emotions give strength to the signal, and your words turn that frequency into a clear message sent to the universe. If you think, "I want prosperity," but feel fear of scarcity and constantly talk about financial problems, your vibrational signal is contradictory. And according to the very structure of creation, the universe responds to your dominant vibration, not your conscious wish. Jacobo Grinberg explained that the reality we perceive is shaped by the neural field, a vibrational filter that organizes external information according to what is already programmed within us. This means it's not enough to simply ask for something. You must vibrate as if it were already a natural part of your existence. Connie Mendez reinforced this idea by saying, "God is principle, and principle is order and coherence. Therefore, if there is internal contradiction, the manifestation will result in chaos, or nothing will happen. Internal coherence is like tuning a musical instrument. When all the strings are in tune with the same note, the melody flows with clarity and strength. But a single off-key string disrupts the harmony. In manifestation, this means your thought, emotion, and word must vibrate in unison with what you want to create. A practical way to begin aligning these three elements is to observe your internal and external dialogue. Ask yourself, do my words support my desire or sabotage it? Am I having conversations that reinforce what I want or what I fear? Then observe your recurring thoughts. Are they consistent with what you say you want? Finally, notice the emotional state that prevails throughout your day. Does it match the reality you wish to attract? Metaphysical prayer is fulfilled 100% of the time, only when this vibrational coherence is established. A person may repeat phrases 1,000 times a day, but if the feeling is doubt or lack, the dominant vibration will still be scarcity. On the other hand, even a single declaration, made with a clear thought, aligned emotion, and firm word, has the power to bring about profound and immediate changes. Mastering the principle of vibration and seeking internal coherence is like tuning perfectly to the radio station that plays the music you love. When this happens, there is no effort. The message comes through clearly, and reality responds inevitably. Being born again, in the metaphysical context, is not about physically starting life over, but about being reborn into a higher state of consciousness. It's a deep internal process in which you abandon the old identity formed by limiting beliefs, painful memories, and inherited patterns to take on the version of yourself that is aligned with what you want to manifest. Jesus, in dialogue with Nicodemus, said, "Unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." In the original Greek, born again comes from anothen, meaning from above or from the origin. This points to the need for vibrational elevation, reconnecting with your original divine nature prior to the illusions of the material world. Neville Goddard called this killing the old Adam, the identity that lives asleep in beliefs of scarcity, limitation, and separation from God. The greatest obstacle in this process is trying to live in two identities at once, keeping old fears while wanting new achievements, holding on to old habits but expecting different results, remaining tied to an inner dialogue of failure while wishing for prosperity. It's like trying to put new wine into old wineskins. Inevitably, all is lost. Abandoning the old identity begins with an act of recognition, admitting that what you have lived up to now is the result of the inner stories you accepted as truth. These stories may have been inherited from family, learned in childhood, or shaped by painful experiences. But no matter how real they seemed, they are not the truth, only narratives sustained by your past vibrational frequency. The next step is to shift focus away from appearances. The old identity feeds on evidence from the physical world to confirm its existence. But as metaphysics teaches, the material world is only the effect. The cause lies in the invisible, subtle, spiritual realm. Therefore, being born again requires you to stop identifying with what you see and start identifying with what you want to be before you have any external proof. In practice, this rebirth involves adjusting your behavior, thought, and emotion to live as the version of you that you want to be. Ask yourself, how does this new version of me speak? How do they dress? What decisions do they make? What kind of people do they attract? What boundaries do they set? For each answer, align today's actions with that image. When you let the old you die, you create space for the new identity to flourish. And this is not a single act, but a daily commitment to not return to old patterns, even when circumstances try to pull you back. After all, metaphysical prayer is only fully fulfilled when the one asking is the new version of you, the one already at the same vibrational level as what you wish to receive. Among all of Neville Goddard's principles, praying from the end may be the most powerful. It begins with a radical shift in perspective. Instead of asking as someone waiting for something to happen, you place yourself in the state of someone who has already received it. It is not an exercise in hope, but in certainty. Neville explained that the human mind tends to get lost in details, when, how, through what path the manifestation will arrive. But that is exactly the trap. By trying to control the how, you limit divine intelligence to work only within the possibilities your limited mind can imagine. Praying from the end is releasing that control, allowing God, the infinite field of possibilities, to arrange events in a perfect and unexpected way. Think of how it works when you shop online. After confirming your order, you don't track every logistical step or try to figure out which route the delivery person will take. Your focus is on the final scene, the moment the package arrives in your hands. In the same way, metaphysical prayer requires you to mentally fast forward and live the final scene of your manifestation. That final scene should be simple, clear, and charged with emotion. If your desire is financial prosperity, don't focus on imagining how you'll get the money, but on how you'll feel seeing your bank balance grow or making a purchase that symbolizes this new state. If your desire is a loving relationship, visualize yourself already sharing life with that person, experiencing moments that convey safety, affection, and joy. The secret is in naturalness. When you pray from the end, you must feel as though that reality is already normal in your life. It's not extraordinary or distant. It's your standard state. This naturalness dissolves the vibration of lack, which is one of the biggest blocks to manifestation. Another important point, hold the scene until you fall asleep if possible. The moment before sleep is the doorway to the subconscious, and what you hold in your mind at that time is absorbed without resistance. This is where spiritual instructions meet science. During the hypnagogic state, the brain operates in alpha and theta waves, highly receptive to new programming. Praying from the end doesn't mean ignoring action in the physical world. It means every action will be inspired, coming from a state aligned with the final result, not from anxiety or fear. When your end is well defined internally, every step in the physical path becomes clearer and more natural. Thus, prayer is not a plea but a declaration of identity. I am the one who already lives this. And when that identity is maintained with vibrational coherence, the external world inevitably adjusts to reflect that inner truth. Jesus said, "When you pray, go into your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." At first glance, this teaching seems simple, but it holds one of the most powerful keys to metaphysical prayer. In spiritual language, going into your room means turning inward. It's closing the senses to the outer world and directing your attention to your inner world, where true creation takes place. Shutting the door represents protecting your vibrational state, not allowing external influences, opinions, doubts, criticism, or other people's energy to interfere with the manifestation's gestation process. A common mistake is sharing your desires and prayer practices with people who are not aligned with the same vision. Doing so opens the door for doubt and disbelief to contaminate the vibrational field you are cultivating. This is why many metaphysical teachers say to treat a desire in manifestation like a newly planted seed. It needs time, care, and protection before it's ready to bloom. On an inner level, shutting the door also means silencing mental noise. Thoughts of fear, anxiety, questioning, or haste. These noises act as interference on the frequency you're sending. When you retreat into inner silence, you create a space where your mind can hold the final image of the manifestation with more clarity and stability. This practice is more than meditation. It's a conscious act of reigning over your own inner territory. Jacobo Grinberg spoke of the neural field as a structure that organizes perception and experience. By shutting the door, you deliberately remove any external data that could distort the field and instead feed it only with images, words, and feelings consistent with your intention. On a practical level, this can be done simply. Choose a time of day, preferably before sleep or right after waking, to withdraw into silence. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and begin visualizing the final scene of your desire fulfilled. Feel it as real and keep your mind on it. Don't let random thoughts or old memories take over. Gently return to the chosen image every time. Over time, this practice creates a vibrational habit. Your mind begins to recognize that inner state as normal, and as a result, the external world responds by rearranging itself to reflect that new normal. Going into your room and shutting the door, therefore, is not just physical isolation, it's vibrational isolation. It's choosing with full awareness what enters your mental and emotional field, so nothing interrupts the direct communication between you and the divine intelligence that works in the unseen. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus warned, "And when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard for their many words." This verse reveals a mistake many make in spiritual practice, believing that the power of manifestation lies in the quantity of words spoken rather than in the quality of the vibration emitted. In metaphysical prayer, repetition by itself has no power. What manifests is internal coherence, the alignment between thought, emotion, and word. 1,000 phrases repeated with doubt or anxiety will have less effect than a single affirmation made with absolute conviction and true feeling. The problem with vain repetitions is that they often become a mechanical act. A person says the words, but their mind is scattered, their heart is not engaged, and their body remains stuck in emotional states that contradict the intention. It's like trying to send a clear radio signal while surrounded by interference. The message simply won't come through clearly. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Your word is your magic wand, but that wand only works when the energy behind it is pure and focused." Connie Mendez also warned that faith is not measured by physical effort or by how many times something is repeated, but by the intensity with which it is felt as real. This doesn't mean repetition is useless. On the contrary, repetition can be extremely effective when each one is accompanied by clear emotion and mental imagery. In this case, repetition is not vain, but a process of imprinting the subconscious more deeply with the desired new reality. This is exactly how Neville Goddard taught it. Not just to repeat, but to mentally relive the final scene until it becomes as natural as breathing. A good practice to avoid falling into the trap of vain repetition is conscious affirmation. Before saying any phrase, pause, breathe, and feel it as if it were already a fact. Allow your body to respond to this truth. Notice if there's relaxation, a smile, a sense of security. Only then speak the words. This pause and emotional connection turn repetition into a creative act, not a mechanical one. Another strategy is to reduce quantity and increase intensity. Choose 1 or 2 key affirmations and work with them daily, always with full presence and active imagination. It's better to plant a few well-tended seeds than scatter many without caring for the soil. When you understand that what creates is coherent vibration, you realize you don't need to exhaust yourself with long lists of phrases or prayers. A single declaration, made in the right state, can open doors that years of mechanical effort never could. The phrase, "Be it done according to your faith," repeated several times in the Gospels, reveals an immutable spiritual law. We do not receive according to what we intellectually desire, but according to the level of conviction we hold within. Faith, from a metaphysical perspective, is not just mentally believing something is possible. It is an emotional alignment so deep that the desire no longer feels distant or extraordinary. It is felt as natural. When that happens, the subconscious accepts that reality as already existing, and the universe responds by rearranging circumstances to confirm it. Many confuse faith with hope. Hope still carries traces of doubt. It is wanting something to happen. True faith is knowing it has already happened, even if it's not yet visible. That's why Neville Goddard said, "Feeling is the secret." It's not enough to think of the result. You must feel it as real now. Jacobo Grinberg, in studying the structure of consciousness, showed that our perception of the external world is shaped by internal programs acting as filters. If these filters are saturated with doubt, fear, or disbelief, they block new experiences from entering, even if you consciously desire them. Changing these filters is an act of faith, meaning saturating your mind and emotions with the feeling that the manifestation is inevitable. Faith also removes excessive effort. When you are certain something is already yours, you don't need to exhaust yourself trying to force the result. Your actions become inspired, guided by intuition, not driven by anxiety. This creates a positive cycle. The more you act from faith, the more signs of confirmation appear, further strengthening that conviction. One practical way to cultivate faith is by normalizing the desire. Instead of treating it as something grand or almost impossible, bring it into the realm of the ordinary. For example, if you want a new house, imagine living in it as part of your routine, making morning coffee, organizing a closet, welcoming guests. The more this image becomes common in your mind, the more natural it will be to your subconscious, and the faster it will manifest. Another powerful exercise is to recall times when you wanted something and somehow it happened. Revisiting these memories activates in your brain the record that it works for me, reinforcing the belief that it can happen again, now on a new level. Ultimately, according to your faith, means you are always the origin point of your experience. The universe is neutral. It simply reflects the certainty or doubt you hold within. That's why working on your faith is not optional. It's the core of any manifestation meant to be consistent, lasting, and inevitable. Now that you know each step to correctly apply the metaphysical prayer, the choice is in your hands. Remember, the power is not just in the words, but in the vibrational coherence between what you think, feel, and speak. It is in this alignment that prayer becomes inevitably creative. From today on, commit to living as the version of yourself who already has what you desire. Use the principle of vibration, abandon the old identity, pray from the end, protect your internal process, avoid mechanical repetitions, and align emotionally with what you want to manifest. Make this a daily practice until it becomes natural. And here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, set aside a moment before sleep to practice exactly what you've learned. Enter your inner room, close the door, visualize the final scene, and feel it as real. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel to continue receiving teachings that unite spirituality, science, and daily practice, and declare in the comments with conviction, "I already live my manifestation." This is your first action to anchor your new vibrational state and open the way for your prayer to be fulfilled without exceptions.